What's going on, boss buddies? I hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas and all looking forward to the new year. I wanted to finish the year with a roundup of my top 10 fragrances that I found in 2018. Not so much ones that were sort of produced or released in 2018, but in fact the best 10 that I found. So I'll be back in just a second with those top 10. So how's it going? My name's Scott and I'm the Luxury Fragrance Boss. So welcome to the Luxury Fragrance Boss channel. As I said, I wanted to finish the year with my top 10 fragrances that I discovered this year. So let's get on with it now. There were a few, well, just before I get into my top 10, there were a few that I'm not going to put in this top 10. A few that I've talked about sort of a lot in my in sort of other top 10s or top 5s that I've done. So the ones that I'm not going to put in there, which obviously are some of my absolute favourites, so it goes without saying. Now the first one is Santal 33, which is just a wonderful fragrance from Le Labo. Black Afghano by Nasomatto. One of my absolute favourite houses, this one now, and also obviously my absolute favourite, which is Kilian's Straight to Heaven Extreme. So those three, because I've mentioned them quite a lot in other videos, I will not be talking about those. So let's move into the top 10 now. In number 10, unfortunately I don't have a sample with me, but this one's just an absolutely delicious fragrance. It has been discovered by a lot of other reviewers as well this year, and it's got a lot of hype, and it well deserves the hype. Now the one I'm talking about is African Leather by Memo Paris. This is an absolutely insanely delicious leather scent. It's a beautiful sort of very creamy leather. The longevity and the projection, I mean, it's not got massive projection, but the projection is good for a leather fragrance. Leather fragrances tend to be a little bit on the weaker side generally. Longevity tends to be quite good, but as far as projection goes, they're not particularly great. I mean, Memo are just absolute superstars when it comes to making leather fragrances. All the ones that I've tried 4 different leather fragrances from them, and they're all absolutely stunning. But African Leather is definitely the very, very best from this house that I've smelled. I did smell out a lot of the line when I was in Osmanthus Perfumery in Miami a few months ago, at the beginning, I think it was beginning of October. And this one just absolutely blew me away. The reason I don't have a sample of it is because I did actually spray it on in the store, and then I chose to wear it for the day, and like I say, it was absolutely mind-blowing fragrance. So that would definitely be on my shopping list for 2019. Now I do, moving into number 9. Number 9 is a very, very masculine tobacco that I have mentioned in a couple of other videos as well. Just another one that just blew me away this year, and that's Sandor 70s by Carner, Barcelona. This isn't your usual sort of sweet sort of pipe tobacco fragrance. As you can see, I've used up pretty much all of this one. I really do enjoy wearing this fragrance. Like I say, it's a very masculine smelling tobacco scent. This is sort of very, very much like the smell of a cigar lounge with some very rich leather upholstery and sort of oak furniture in there. It's just absolutely stunning. And I mean, if you can imagine sort of a very upscale cigar lounge with the smell of sort of this upscale cigars, like I say, with that rich upholstery, that's exactly the smell that you're going to get with this one. It's not like a stale tobacco, it's just an incredibly manly and delicious tobacco scent. More like a cigar tobacco than, like I say, one of those sweet pipe tobaccos. So I mean, in number 9, you've got Carner Barcelona's Sandor 70s. Like I said, another one that I really do want to add to my collection over the coming months. So moving into number 8 now. Number 8, I'm going to go to the house of Maison Margiela, and I'm pretty sure you can guess which one I'm going to go for, and it's by the Fireplace. Now this one I did actually try only a little bit over a week ago. The reason I hadn't sort of really tried it before, I've had this sample, and I've had the discovery set for about sort of probably over 3 months now, well, coming up to 3 months. I got it beginning of October. But this one is much more suited to colder weather, so I did actually wait for a colder day to wear this one, and this one is absolutely delicious. I mean, the smell of this one, I grew up in England, and during the winter, sort of when it got to Christmas time, one of the things that used to smell on the streets was guys cooking sort of horse chestnuts on like on some kind of like a fire grill. I just remember, and you sort of bought them, and they come in like a little paper bag. But the smell that comes from these like these grill things, just absolutely insanely beautiful, and that's exactly the smell that you get with Replicas by the Fireplace. I mean, unfortunately, this isn't one that I will probably add to my collection. The reason for that is, like I said, because I do live in a warmer climate, I'm really not going to get the chance to sort of get the benefit out of this one. It's definitely much more of a sort of a cooler weather fragrance or an evening fragrance, but it's really not suited to me here, so that's the only reason that I wouldn't add it. I would love to add it in sometime in the future. Maybe when I'm looking at going back to the UK next year, so maybe when I'm there, maybe I'll sort of succumb to it back there. But until then, like I say, it definitely one of the best scents I've discovered this year. Also as well, I mean, one thing I found with the Replica line is the performance was pretty poor in a lot of the fragrances, I found anyway. Music Festival though, and By the Fireplace, definitely very, very good. Definitely well worth the money. The rest of them, I could probably leave them. But those two, like I say, Music Festival and definitely this one, this is the strongest performer out the entire line that I've tried. I think they've released a couple of newer fragrances now. I haven't had a chance to try those, but this one, I mean, just absolutely insanely delicious. Like I said, that sort of sweet chestnut smell that you get that's sort of cooking on the grills in New York or London. So that's my number 7. Sorry, I just said number 7, that's actually my number 8. So moving into number 7. Now number 7, I'm gonna go with a house that I discovered this year when I was actually in London visiting for a friend's wedding, and that is the house of Initio. Now my wife, she did actually buy Side Effect that vacation, but we got given a sample of Rehab while we were there, and this one is just an insane tobacco. I mean, this one's another tobacco fragrance. This is probably the sexiest tobacco fragrance I think I've ever smelled. This one's much more of a sort of sweet pipe tobacco and honey scent. It's absolutely delicious, incredibly sexy. This smells great on my wife as well as it does it on me. It smells fantastic on the pair of us. I mean, this one goes for around sort of $330, but if you're willing to share it with the other half, you're both going to smell amazing all the time. Now, this is one that my wife wore on Thanksgiving when I think I was wearing Ormond Jane's White Gold, which is also a wonderful scent as well. But yeah, she just smells absolutely insane in this one. Now, when I wore this as well, we went out for dinner. We went out for dinner with a couple of friends, went out for the night, and I mean, this one's definitely a sort of softer fragrance. It's definitely much more, I'd say, of a dating fragrance, perfect first date fragrance. But when I got home, my wife just said she wanted to eat me. So, I mean, she'd had a couple of gin and tonics, so who knows if it was those talking. But yeah, I mean, this one does smell absolutely insanely delicious. So definitely deserves a spot in the top 10. Like I said, my favorite out of the Initio line. Like I said, my wife's got Side Effect, but for me, if I'm going to buy one, it's definitely going to be this one here. Definitely the best that I've smelled out of the, I've smelled quite a lot of the line. We smelled a lot of them in London when we were there. But yeah, by far the best one that I've smelled is Rehab. So Rehab is in number 7. So moving into number 6, I'm going to go with another new house that I discovered this year, which is Imaginary Authors. Now, I got the when was that? This was also back in the beginning of October in Osmanthus Perfumery. I picked up the short story collection. This one's got 8 different fragrances in, all of the little sprays here. You notice one of them's missing. That's because it's right beside me for my top 10, and that is Memoirs of a Trespasser. This is the best vanilla fragrance I've smelled this year. What I love about this one is it's not as overly sort of sweet vanilla fragrance. I love that it's kind of dark. It's kind of darkened by the myrrh that's in there. If I could sort of compare this one to anything, it would be, as I did in my full review of it, Eau Sauvage, the Parfum. Now this is the 2012 version, which is literally just Vetiver, myrrh and Bergamot. But if you can imagine, if you own Eau Sauvage or you're very, very familiar with the sort of the smooth smell of this one, if you think about adding vanilla into that one, that's exactly what you're going to get with Memoirs of a Trespasser. Incredibly smooth, beautiful vanilla, and it's got some darkness and depth to it too, so it's not your average sort of vanilla scent. Another one that I've found which was really, really good, and my wife really wants to add it to her collection, is Vanilla Intense by Atelier Cologne, which also came from another one. I also got my wife the Atelier Cologne advent calendar, so she just had so much fun with all the scents and stuff in there. But yeah, Vanilla Intense is definitely on her list, but Memoirs of a Trespasser definitely on mine. So that is number 6 right there. So moving into the top 5. Now in number 5, I'm going to have to go with another new house that I discovered. Another discovery set that I picked up this year was the Fulton Manley discovery set. Now this is a beautiful, I don't want to say it's a true gourmand, it is gourmandish. It's dark chocolate, a dark chocolate, sort of very powdery chocolate smelling fragrance, and that is Charlatan. Now this is another house that I struggled with performance on. A couple of other people sort of said that they had better performance from them, but for me this was the best performer out of the lot of them. Amber Absolutely and I think it was Maduro also performed pretty well, but nothing compared to this one. The projection and longevity was fantastic on this one, on Charlatan. And like I say, if you're looking for sort of a wonderful sort of dark chocolate, very sort of powdery smelling fragrance, Charlatan's definitely one to check out. Now these aren't cheap fragrances, so I would definitely sort of recommend picking up the discovery set, seeing what you like in there. Bozhnikov was actually my favourite scent, but like I said, the performance wasn't there for me, so that's I mean, that's why I'd have to pick Charlatan. Charlatan, another very, very similar fragrance to Bozhnikov, not quite as gourmandy. Like I say, it's a little bit wood, there's a tiny bit of woody notes in there as well, but it's still very sort of quite a powdery sort of dark chocolate fragrance, and it's just a mind-blowing fragrance. So in number 5 you got Charlatan by Fulton Manley. Oh. I mean, even with their discovery set, it's not particularly cheap, but it's definitely worth picking up because there are some fantastic fragrances in there, and you may not struggle with the performance the way that I did, so definitely worth checking that one out. So moving into the top 4 now, these are sort of very, very hard to sort of choose between and put in any kind of numerical order, so I'm not really even going to try. I mean, those first 6, I've tried to sort of put them in some kind of order, but I mean, these are 10 amazing fragrances, but these last 4 are absolute stunning. Now for number 4, I'm going to have to go with Boadicea. Boadicea the Victorious and Imperial. Now this is, for those of you that are kind of sick of Creed Aventus, you don't find it as unique anymore, but you're looking for something very classy that does stand out, perfect for sort of any occasion, whether it's a white t-shirt and jeans, whether it's for the office, whether it's for going out or a special event, something like that. Imperial is definitely one of the ways to go. This one just reeks of class to me. I really did enjoy wearing this one, and despite the fact it just came out of a dabber, the performance I found was absolutely fantastic. I could smell this like all throughout the day. I could still smell it very, very strongly in the gym as well, and just a beautiful sort of unique fragrance. I didn't want to sort of, I mean, another one that I really loved this year was Cédrat Boissé. But I think this one just is a little bit more unique, and it's nice to go to a different house other than sort of just, I mean, Cédrat Boissé is compared a lot to Aventus. It does really smell like Aventus in the opening, but then it settles down into something I think is a lot more beautiful, a lot more unique. But I wanted to go for something even more unique than that. So, I mean, for those of you that want to try something a little bit different to sort of Aventus, if you are Aventus fans, this doesn't smell like Aventus, but it gives that same sort of vibe. Like I say, it's a very classy smelling fragrance and just a wonderful sort of performer overall. So Boadicea the Victorious Imperial, definitely worth checking out, and that's one that I do want to add into my collection. I've also got a sample of Complex on the way, which is an absolute powerhouse. So as many of you know, if you watch my channel, that I am a huge lover of beast mode fragrances, which is why I own Amouage, Interlude, and also Penhaligon's Halfeti. If you've not seen my beast mode fragrance top 5, definitely check that video out. I'll post a link below the video here. Now for number 3, I'm going to go with one that's been talked, well, I mean, all 3 of these have been talked about a lot. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with Laird Desert Moroccan by Tower. This is definitely one I want to have in my fragrance collection in the next few months. I do really, really love this fragrance. Now, the way I described this one when I talked about it in my full review is this is bottled 5-star Egyptian resort air, and that's exactly what this is. That's the best way I can describe it. I can't think of anything that describes it anything better than that. Now, when I was in Egypt, I want to go back probably close to 15 to 18 years ago, and I stayed in a 5-star resort which was on the edge of the desert, and that sort of beautiful sort of sweet smell that you get at sunset when you're out on a balcony, and you got sort of herbs and spices coming from the hotel where they're cooking and stuff like that, but all that sort of beautiful sort of desert, that sort of sweet air that you get off the desert around that sort of time of when the sun's setting. That's the smell that you're going to get with this one. It's just absolutely stunning. It's one that I really want to add to my collection very soon. I mean, if you're looking for a sort of a slightly less expensive option for this one, I'd definitely say check out 8 & Bob's Egypt. It's kind of similar. I'd say it's a bit more sort of Mediterranean smelling. This one very desert smelling though, which is quite weird because obviously one's called Egypt and I associate this one more with Egypt than the one actually called Egypt. But I mean, 2 very great fragrances. Performance I think is a little bit better on this one. I mean, both are great performers, but if you're looking for something that's just that little bit sweeter, a little bit more beautiful, definitely it's worth spending the money and sort of checking out Laird de Desert Morocco by Tower. So that is my number 3. Now moving into the top 2. For number 2, I'm going to have to go with one that's been talked about an incredible amount this year, and that would be Baccarat Rouge 540. And that's these. I'm going to go, although I prefer the X-Straight, I'm going to go with the Eau de Parfum. I think it's just a lot more versatile. Also, my wife's not a big fan of the X-Straight either, which is why I'd have to go for this one. My wife does actually like this one. She doesn't like when I overspray it though. It is a very potent fragrance. This one really is a very big performer. If you're looking for something, I wouldn't say beast mode, but it's very close to beast mode. You're still going to get very good projection with this one, and the longevity is just insane. It's one of those fragrances that you will still smell on your bed sheets like 3 or 4 days later. Otherwise, you're still going to smell it after you've taken a shower the next morning, even if you wore it during the day. And there's very few fragrances that I get that with. I've got a few in my collection because, like I say, I do love beast mode fragrances. But yeah, Interlude by Amouage, Halfeti and the Ventus are the only ones that sort of really do that, besides this one. This one, like I said, it just lasts all day and night. Definitely a top performer. Not quite as sweet as the X-Straight. That's what my wife doesn't like about that one. She finds that one too sweet. But yeah, big performer. This is one that I mean, the company that I work for, a lot of the girls didn't really associate this one with being a men's fragrance, so they were only selling it to women. And one day I walked in wearing it, and they all asked me what I was wearing, and just absolutely their minds were blown the fact that I was wearing Baccarat Rouge. Even after I tried to tell them it's a guy's fragrance as well, it's a unisex fragrance. So yeah, I mean, now I've opened their minds up as well, and they can sell this one on to guys. But yeah, definitely a top performer, and that's number 2 in my top 10. Now going on to my number 1, the top spot. This is one that, I mean, I just absolutely fell in love with this one. It comes from the house of Nasomatto, and I'm pretty sure you'll know if you watch my channel regularly the one I'm going to say, because I've got a bottle of it on its way as a late Christmas present from my wife. Thank you so much, Cindy, for your wonderful generosity in ordering me one of the ones that I really wanted. The reason I haven't got it yet is because it's coming from England. A friend of mine was going back there, and it's a lot cheaper in England than it works out in the US right now. So that's why I don't have it just yet. I've also got a bottle of one of the travel sprays of Molecule 01 on the way. But I mean, just to give you an idea, this is what the bottles look like. They're only small, like 30ml bottle, but I mean, they are an X-Straight, and these are just incredible fragrances. All the Nasomatto, I mean, when I first smelled Black Afghano, I didn't know really what to think about it, because I'd seen a lot of mixed reviews and stuff like that online about it. But when I tried it on myself, within hours I was like, oh my God, I need to own this fragrance. That's exactly the way that I've been with Baraonda. I feel the same way about a lot of their fragrances, which does scare me, because I just find after 2 hours they just hook you in, and you just can't stop sort of smelling for them. I mean, they tend to get stronger as well. The one thing I did find with Black Afghano, this one, not so much Pardon, but also Absinthe as well. The ones that I've tried so far, I've got a sample of Duro on the way, which I believe is supposed to be an absolute powerhouse. But something I found with this, and especially Black Afghano and like Absinthe, as I said, is after the first couple of hours, they were there, but then all of a sudden they just blow up, and you can just sort of smell them. Like they seem to take on a life of their own, and they just seem to get more powerful and more potent throughout the day, and they just grow on you, and they just mesmerize you, and just keep pulling you in. Before you know it, you're hooked on them, and you think, I need to own them. So that's exactly the way I've been with Baraonda. Now the smell of Baraonda is pretty much a 30 or a 40-year-old single malt Scotch. whiskey, and I mean that's something that I absolutely adore. For my birthday this year, I was 40 years old, so my wife bought me a Glenfarclas 40-year-old. I've still not opened it yet. I'm waiting for a very special occasion, I know, other than my 40th birthday. But yeah, I'm still waiting for that right occasion. It's our anniversary coming up next week, so I may open it for a small tipple then. But yeah, I mean, this one, I mean, being a huge whiskey lover, this is one of the best booziest fragrances that I've ever smelled as well, but definitely my favourite fragrance that I found this year, and I can't wait to get the bottle when it arrives, which should be around the 3rd or the 4th, depending on what time my friend lands. So that's my top 10 there. I hope you enjoyed that. I'd love to hear your recommendations for top 10, so please like, comment and subscribe below. Please let me know any recommendations you've got for me. Obviously I've tried a lot of fragrances this year, but I'm looking at exploring a lot of new houses this year as well, so I've got so many more niche fragrances to explore, so please shoot me your recommendations. I'd love to hear. Now, some of you may have noticed as well, if you follow me on Instagram, I will be having a competition for a very special fragrance that cannot be bought in any stores, and that's this one here. Now, this one is only a gift with purchase. That's the only way it's available, so unless you're buying a Rolex watch, you've got no chance of getting one of these, unless you enter in my competition for it, which I'll be doing a raffle soon, so watch out for that and stay tuned to my Instagram and also to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell as well, that way you'll never miss a video. You get notified anytime I'm releasing a new one. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. You can find me at Luxury Fragrance Boss, that way you'll never miss a video. You'll get to know all my scent of the day anytime I've got any competitions or anything like that. The reason I don't do many giveaways, or I haven't done a giveaway before, is because I cannot ship from the US. Sorry, I cannot ship from the Cayman Islands anywhere. Unfortunately, it's something that's forbidden, but I'm willing to make one exception, as I can get a friend to sort of take it on a cruise ship or something like that, and then be able to post it from the US. So, but that's not something that I can do very often, because obviously they have to land it and everything like that and pay duties. So it's not something that's sort of very viable for me. So I do apologise that I can't do competitions very, very often, but I wanted to do something special to end off the year, to say thank you to all my subscribers as well. Thank you all so much for your support. Other than that, I wish you all the very best for 2019. As I said at the beginning, I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. All the best to you and your families. Thank you so much for everyone who supported my channel so far. I'm eternally grateful for you all, and I'm so happy to be where I am so far, and the growth that my channel has seen over the past few months. So thank you very much. Other than that, stay smelling fantastic. I look forward to seeing you very soon in my next video. And thank you very much for watching.